All right, Bob, the World Cup has got you very excited, does it not?
For sure. Very excited indeed.
And joining us now, the great Alexi Lalas.
How about that?
Parts Unknown.
Wow.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, kind sir.
I come to you from the West Side Highway somewhere out here in New York City, cruising down here. It's a beautiful day here in New York City, and it's a pleasure to be with you guys.
Well, we appreciate your time. I'm a very big fan, going back to...
you're the one.
Going back to the days of the Denim Team USA in 1994. It's weird because I feel like I need to ask you a bunch of current events questions about the U.S. men's national team and the World Cup and all that. But having you on reminds me of my journey with your sport and kind of this country's journey with your sport. And overall, I'm just kind of curious what you think of how it's gone since 1994 and all the brave visions of what this sport could be like in this country. How are we doing progress-wise?
Well, as they say, you've come a long way, baby. And while we love to kick ourselves for what we haven't done, and maybe that's what makes America great, is that we want the best and we want to be the best, we also have to take a step back and pat ourselves on the back for what's happened on and off the field. There is a U.S. soccer nation out there. There is a U.S. soccer culture. It's not underground. It's not niche. It's come above ground. It gets bigger and bigger every single year. There's a generation that now defines themselves by the sport, how they talk, how they dress, how they look at themselves within our borders and within the world. And it's fun to be a part of. But certainly the Wild West days back in 1994 were fun to be a part of, but I'm much happier being in the United States and being in that soccer family in 2014.
And it's weird when you talk about soccer in the U.S., it means different things, doesn't it? Because we dream through the U.S. men's national team and the World Cup every 4 years, but honestly, the role of television and the role of the kind of globalizing our views of any sport, but in particular soccer, that growth, I don't know, it all intersects somewhere, but it is difficult to pin down sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, it's interesting. When people come to the United States, they are amazed at how much soccer we are able to digest, and on television, online, and obviously live with MLS. And all the professional soccer that exists in the United States, and it's a different type of world. Now, that's a good thing because there's so much soccer out there, but it's also can be challenging when you're constantly being compared and contrasted to what happens around the world. And we are still an emerging soccer nation, but I think that now we will become, I believe, a major sport in the United States, and in many cases we are. It will always be uniquely American, and that's not something to fear. I think that that's actually something that will make us, that will separate us from everywhere else. And that's important because while we do pick and choose and take maybe the best things that go on around the world, I think that we are doing some very interesting things and stuff that will set us apart when it comes to our soccer on and off the field.
Explain that. I don't understand what you mean by saying soccer will become uniquely American.
Well, we will always have a different type of history when it comes to our sport. Obviously, there's other countries and cultures where it is the main sport. That's not the case in the United States. We continue to be up against other sports, and not just the sports, but also how it has affected generations and culturally and socially and all of that. Soccer, for me, one of the reasons why I got into soccer was because of the international aspect of it. I wanted something different. I wanted to be able to say that I was doing something that a kid on the other side of the world did. Now, I am incredibly proud of being an American, but I also recognize that this sport connects me with the rest of the world. And in doing so, we can kind of create our own style on the field and our own way of viewing the game, whether it's on television or going to the match, and our own way of defining what the game is from a cultural perspective. And I think that's awesome to be a part of, because you don't get a lot of chances to do that, to be quite honest. And so we have this blank sheet that is soccer, and it's got a history now, and it's starting to come into focus. Not here yet, but we still got a ways to go, but it's starting to look pretty.
This is Alexi Lalas with us on Sports Radio 1310 The Ticket. It's interesting because in the end, when we talk about the growth of a sport, what we're really talking about is what captures the imagination of a kid. And from that standpoint, the role of Michael Jordan or LeBron James being played by Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo, it doesn't necessarily matter if the person they're being inspired by is also an American. It's just that there's inspiration in there, and it draws them to a particular sport. And I suppose from that standpoint, having games from all over the country, all over the world available on your television is what it's all about, I suppose.
It is good, and that's from a big picture standpoint. Now, if you're looking at it from a Major League Soccer standpoint and from a domestic league standpoint, you want those players to be from those leagues, not necessarily American, but yeah, that would be great. That would be great too. And you want you want kids to grow up wanting to be like Landon Donovan, wanting to be like young players that we have coming through, a guy like Graham Zusi that you'll see on the World Cup team this summer. That is important, but there's also other aspects of why it's attractive. It's the bling, it's the money, it's the girls, it's the lifestyle, it's all of that kind of stuff that makes athletes and makes other sports very, very attractive. And soccer, from a domestic standpoint, is still not quite there yet, and that's why when you do that compare and contrast with what's going on internationally, a lot of times it lives up. So
we were talking a little bit. This is Alexi Lalas again on with us. He's in New York City driving around here on The Ticket.
I'm here. Sorry, guys.
No, we were talking off the air about like soccer, or American soccer at least. Their part of their deal is not only, okay, you're going to try and win the World Cup, but or as many games as possible, but you're trying to grow the sport, and that's an important part of the whole thing as well. And you made a big impact in that, and that's where the Landon Donovan decision to keep him off the team maybe comes into play. Should that not have been part of the thought process, is keeping him on the team is helping to grow the sport for the future?
Well, Jurgen Klinsmann, the head coach of the national team, his job is to win this summer. Yes, there are other pressures and other responsibilities that generations of American soccer players have accepted, and that is to grow the game and to be the ambassadors and to make sure that every opportunity you get, that you are putting your best foot forward. And the World Cup is an incredible platform and an opportunity. When it comes to this decision, my take on the Landon Donovan thing is this. Look, in my mind, he is the greatest American player ever to play the game. Yes, he's in the twilight of his career, and yes, he's not the player he was 4 years ago. He fell out of love with soccer a few years ago, went on a sabbatical, went to Cambodia, tried to rekindle that love, tried to find himself, whatever it ends up being. If you wanted to make a cut, do it then. To bring him in May 2014 as part of the 30-man roster and then tell me he's not one of the top 23, that doesn't make sense to me. I do believe that Landon Donovan, given what's happened over the last couple of years, could have helped the team. It's just it's a head-scratcher, but you know what? Jurgen Klinsmann's paid a tremendous amount of money to make big, bold decisions, and he, like other coaches, will live and die by those decisions this summer, and I think that's fair, and Jurgen Klinsmann believes that the U.S. team has a better chance without Landon Donovan on the roster.
It's Alexi Lalas here on The Ticket. So, from a standpoint of realistic expectation levels, how dire is their group? Just let's be realistic here, and let's not even be Americans for a moment, and just look at this group.
Sure. Well, it's a difficult group. I think it will live up to its name in terms of the group of death. I think that if it's my money, they don't come out of the group. If it's your money, well, let's go to Vegas and put it all on them coming out of the group, without a doubt. You got Ghana that's kicked the U.S. out of the last two World Cups. You got Portugal that has Cristiano Ronaldo, the greatest player playing today in my mind. And then you have Germany, which is an absolute juggernaut. So three very, very difficult games. This is where the U.S. will find a pathway out. They are now in the underdog role. Don't let anybody tell you different. They are in that underdog role that they actually enjoy, and they actually play very, very well when people have low expectations. Well, they're going to have to play that underdog role to a T. I do believe that Jurgen Klinsmann is going down with the best collection of talent ever assembled. Doesn't mean he's going to win, but he's got the greatest set of tools that any manager has ever been given, and now it's up to him to find a way out.
You know, there's a list, and I think it's, and you probably know better than I do, Alexi, it's 7 or 8 countries deep, but it's a list of nations who have been in the last 7 or 8 World Cups since 1990. The United States is one of those. That surely says something pretty loud about the quality that we play here.
Well, it also says something about the area that we qualify in CONCACAF, and we are the number one team as far as I'm concerned. Mexico's up there, and this summer you're going to see teams like Costa Rica and Honduras representing our area. And yes, it is a credit to not just the players that we have had now that are able to qualify consistently for World Cup, but also the resources that have been put into soccer, and the increase in the improvement in coaching and facilities, and obviously Major League Soccer, and all of these different things. And TV, you talked about TV, the ability for kids to get up every day and watch games from all over the world, also watch their team domestically on television that they might be affiliated with, and to go out and watch professional soccer in these stadiums. I mean, it's a very, very different world, and that's why the U.S. has progressed so quickly and so far.
I know everyone likes talking about Landon Donovan, and that's great, and Josie Altidore and Clint Dempsey, but in reality, it probably falls to your part of the field, doesn't it? And the ability to keep the opponent from scoring.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at this, and that's where the biggest question is right now, defensively, what this team is going to look like. I can tell you right now that Tim Howard will play in goal. And that is great news for U.S. fans, because he, in my mind, is a world-class goalkeeper, one of the best in the world. He just happens to be American. And he's going to have some work to do this summer, without a doubt. Now, who's in front of him? That's the question. You got guys like Omar Gonzalez, Matt Beasler, now Jeff Cameron in the mix, all guys with no experience when it comes to the World Cup. And this will be the first time where we'll have two center backs without any World Cup experience. And that's it's a back four and defense, whether it's in the World Cup or not, you need coordination, you need understanding. And we are going to see a back four that has very little experience, next to no World Cup experience, and has not played together very long. And that frightens me.
Yeah, it's not Balboa and Lalas back there anymore. I mean, things.
Well, they don't want that kind of pain. And listen, the youth today, they don't understand the importance and the power of hair. And so what are you going to do?
Man, the Google Images searches for Alexi Lalas, that's enough to occupy anyone for a while. You wore it well. You would be
surprised how much time and effort and money it takes to look like you just rolled out of bed.
Hey, congratulations on your graduation, by the way.
The hits just keep on coming for Rutgers University. Let me tell you.
For those who don't keep track of your scholastic achievements, Mr. Lalas, I thought Taylor Twellman was joking when he likes throwing out the 26-year plan, but no.
Yeah.
It really was a 26-year plan.
Years. Yeah, I showed up in the fall of 1908 with a big old mullet and, cranking some Def Leppard and Bon Jovi in New Jersey, and got kicked out on exit 9 off the turnpike up there at Rutgers University, and it took me 26 years, but a couple of weeks ago I was up there and graduating, and my fellow graduates, I said hello to them, and they told me that they were born after I left Rutgers, so that was fun.
Wow.
For you, just another moment, if you don't mind. For you, was international versus playing for Major League Soccer, was that a difficult call? I apologize for not being well versed in your early professional life.
No, that's all right. I came about before MLS started, so a lot of us went overseas. I was privileged to go over to Italy and play there for a few years, and then I'll tell you, one of the proudest days of my life was flying back from Italy to the start of MLS and being part of it from that first year. It was a labor of love. It's something that I will remain proud of until the day I die, and hopefully it's going to last well beyond that date. I hope that date is many, many years in the future. As far as playing for the national team, for the U.S., great. And if you're turned up to the point in the upcoming election,
oh boy,
what?
And then
oh no,
and then fade to black.
Going back real quick, get a couple minutes.
We don't have a liner.
Well, see you later.
So it's certainly your call. We're near the end here, but without a liner, I just don't know if it's official, Dan. But
you won't be able to prove we had him on.
You could kind of feel that fizzing. Did you do a Google Images search? I hope you did. I hope you did very much.
I didn't think I had
to. It's crazy.
It's pretty awesome.
A lot of looks.
Alexis, Texas.
autocomplete can really cause problems now at this
How do you
particular
spell
point.
Alexi? Alexei.
Alex with an I. All right, he's
That's
back.
it?
He's back.
Hey guys, sorry about that. I got so emotional and passionate. I was screaming and yelling about representing the U.S. that we almost went off the road there.
Well, please be careful by all means. So you're set up in Brazil. You leave, and then do you have to go from city to city, or do you headquarter in Rio and just stay on the main set? What's your plan?
I have my Speedo, and I will be in Rio the entire time on Copacabana Beach. We have blown it out at ESPN. We are going to give you so many different ways to watch this World Cup. I'll be down there with our crew and, the beautiful beaches and the beautiful scenery, and I will be in Rio the entire time. So I am going to get the lay of the land, and then we'll be off to the races here pretty soon.
Turn on that international call program, and that will you don't want an international roam. You know that by now, but
I know that. Believe me, I've been hit by that a couple of times.
Well, listen, it's been a pleasure having you on, and we would love to do it again sometime, and because there's a million other things to talk to you about. But perhaps we could end with a nice radio liner, if you don't mind, where maybe you would identify yourself for us and then say something along the lines of that you never listened to Bob and Dan on the ticket, and we would play that again and again.
Okay, in 3, 2, 1. Hey, this is Alexi Lalas, and I never, ever listen to Bob and Dan on the radio.
Boom. Awesome. Thanks a lot, man. I'm a big fan.
Anytime, guys. Anytime. Appreciate the support.
High five. All right.
Back at you.
There he goes. It's Alexi
Keep
Lalas.
doing what you do, Playboy, and chase that money, okay?
And good times there. By the way, it's he's got a good. If you're into the sort of thing, you should check out his podcast too. He's a good soccer talker, but only do it in non-ticket business hours. So I think
Like
it's,
when the ticket's not on the air?
right. It's
Do it Sunday morning, 8 to 11 if you want.
It's big.
There you go.
The Big Head Redhead podcast. So check that out. All right, it's 1:10. It's Sports Radio 1310. The Ticket.